Story 1, arrogance, but not the loud type. More the whatever I say is interesting type of arrogance, when it isn't. Story 2, I have experienced being both attractive and unattractive, primarily due to significant fluctuations in weight. Life is much easier when you are attractive, as you can often get away with almost anything. On the other hand, you have to work much harder to prove yourself when you are not. One significant aspect I noticed is that people tend to be generally nicer and warmer to you when you are pretty. People look at you and notice you, making you feel like you matter. When I was overweight, their eyes would glaze over me as if I were not even there, and if they did look at me, it was presumably only because of my weight. I had never experienced that before. The entire experience of being overweight made me realize how shallow we can be, even if we do not want to admit it. Story 3. Being careless can lead to repeated mistakes, often with others covering for those actions. I knew a girl who frequently forgot her wallet, and the taxi driver would suggest she not worry about it. People often paid for her expenses. She was not manipulative. She was simply careless and did not realize that not everyone receives the same treatment. Story 4. Sexually inappropriate comments. I have only had one human resources informal meeting in 15 years, and that was because I kept doing impressions of Rolf Harris right after he died. Story 5. People are naturally friendlier and more trusting toward individuals with attractive qualities. An unattractive person has to work harder in all aspects of life, will never be given the benefit of the doubt, and may find themselves ostracized for no fault of their own. On the flip side, attractive women may experience sabotage from other attractive women, especially in the arena of dating. For example, a hairdresser might recommend cutting more hair off or opting for a boyish shortcut if they perceive you as more attractive than themselves. This illustrates the various ways women may undermine each other. Story 6. At this point, it seems like everything is problematic. This includes poor behavior, lack of personality, sexual harassment, incompetence, and the reality of privilege based on appearance. Story 7. I am aware that my appearance helps me in many situations, particularly in career and education. However, there are always people who will do everything in their power to humble you, regardless of how kind or respectful you are. The target on your back is large, and it can feel like a fantasy to wish to be invisible. Not many people compliment or support you because they assume you think you are great simply because they find you attractive. They also assume everything was handed to you due to your looks. The harsh reality for many attractive people is that it would mean the world to me if someone recognized my work ethic or at least my ambition. I have become the most insecure person I know because it is challenging to see any greatness in myself when no one else seems to recognize it. I get stared at when I go to a bar, but I am rarely approached. I am taken on dates, yet I am told that I draw too much attention for them to want to pursue a relationship. They do not want to deal with competition. The friends I have rarely check on me. If I do not reach out, I feel isolated in my home. I understand how this may seem detached, but it does not change the reality that I feel ostracized to the point of severe depression. Despite my accomplishments, I have no evidence of being great. My belief is that perhaps I am not great. Perhaps I am just attractive. Most days, I do not want to be here anymore because I am heartbroken from spending my entire life alone. The phrase "to be seen is to be loved" is not about physical appearance, and it breaks my heart every time I think about it. Story 8. Being mean and aloof as well as having bad fashion sense is amusing. I swear, when you see some extremely thin, attractive New York model wearing Crocs, baggy jeans, a soccer jersey, and a fedora, people go wild. Story 9. Speeding tickets and flirtatious behavior with sexual advances can create complicated situations. If the individuals involved were not exceptionally attractive, the recipient might consider these advances unwarranted, potentially leading to larger issues. Story 10. Other people doing things for me, even if I insist otherwise, becomes a spectacle. People are less likely to be upset with me for indiscretions or forgive me more quickly. I almost never experience road rage. Instead, I receive the look of, "Oh, she's just being foolish." I get chosen to be on teams or in work groups for which I have no qualifications. Receiving things for free, Story 11. A slightly below average man waits for Stacy outside her workplace every day to chat with her, while she posts about how this creepy man is stalking her. In contrast, a handsome man does the same thing, and she expresses how sweet it is that he waits for her. The same behavior receives different responses, all based on how attractive Stacy finds them. Story 12. You can say completely unhinged things and get away with it with no repercussions. I'm probably an 8, maybe an 8.5 on a good day, and I've been seeing how far you can push it. My first name is Ted, and when girls approach me at bars, this is how the interaction usually goes. Her. Hi, what's your name? Meet Ted. Her. Ted? Me, yeah, like Bundy. He's my boy. Her, you're so funny. I'm Ashley. Nice to meet you. Story 13. What a boatload of anger and negativity. I know many attractive people who are kind, smart, and not arrogant. I do know a few who are physically attractive but otherwise lack intelligence and humility. They do not get away with much. In a way, their personality overshadows their appearance. Story 14. Disrespecting people's time is an issue. Many people seem to think that being late is not a big deal. This behavior is disrespectful to everyone who is kept waiting without good reason. It is important to be on time. Story 15. This is an interesting topic for me. In the past 3 years, I have dramatically changed my appearance. I work out, and for the first time in my life, I have abs. I have changed my hairstyle and gotten tattoos. I have always considered myself the nerd archetype. I never thought of myself as attractive, and I have Asperger's syndrome. I mention Asperger's because I have a hard time deciphering social cues, such as whether people find me attractive. I still have no idea how to read those cues, but I do think I am considered attractive now. I have always worked hard because, like many people say, those who are not considered attractive tend to feel they need to prove themselves, and I feel that way too. That has not changed even after I became attractive. I do not know for sure, but there seems to be a shift in energy. I've noticed that people used to say I am a hard worker, but I'm starting to hear more often, "You work too hard." It's a subtle shift, but I feel it is related to my newfound attractiveness. I still cannot fully accept that I am attractive. Internally, I feel the same as before. I am still that nerdy archetype. I have noticed other shifts as well. I feel that I can get away with more. In school, during discussions, if I challenge an idea, it seems less likely that someone will rebut my points now that I am perceived as attractive. Of course, this is subjective. It just feels like how the energy has shifted. I could be wrong. When I am in public, I notice that service staff are overly professional with me. I will be eating in a casual restaurant, and they serve me as if it were a formal establishment. However, when I see them interacting with others, it seems warmer and more casual. I would prefer a more relaxed interaction, and I often try to break the ice if I'm in a chatty mood. However, this change comes with its own challenges for me. I am still the nerdy, shy type. I am single right now, and I feel it is harder to approach women. They seem more guarded or signal disinterest more frequently. Women used to approach me occasionally, but now it feels like they don't approach me at all. I have been reading online that women often assume attractive men can get anyone, which leads them to give cold signals to discourage approaches. I find myself not approaching now because I keep receiving signals that indicate not to approach, which reinforces my shyness. Story 16. Not paying for drinks since birth. Some of these girls haven't opened their wallets since they were 14. In the Balkans, if you're attractive, your water bill, internet, and half your rent are basically covered by simply being present. Story 17. Literal crimes. Does anyone remember the man who went viral for having an attractive mugshot? He got out of prison, secured a modeling deal, and then ended up back in prison for domestic violence. Additionally, Chris Brown is still admired by many women despite his past actions toward Rihanna and others, because he is handsome and has a nice voice. Looks combined with musical talent can get you almost anything you desire. Story 18. Being considered more trustworthy. Good-looking individuals generally attract less suspicion. Story 19. I realized that might be me. Everyone just seemed to hate me my whole life for some reason. I didn't know until I was 31. People bullied and alienated me so much that I genuinely thought I was irredeemably unattractive for a long time. Story 20. Many people tell me I am very attractive, and rumors have started that boys like me. However, I feel so different that I struggle to connect with others. Some girls may feel jealous, while boys often find me annoying. Yet, what I notice is that those who are considered attractive often get away with having a poor personality. Story 21. Being racist, I know Jewish women who will tolerate anti-Semitism if the man is attractive enough, saying, "He just had a bad upbringing. He's nearly 30. Story 22. Access. They use their appearance to advance, whether moving up a line or seeking services from someone. Story 23. Crime. You will discover that they rarely face any real consequences for their actions. Once you recognize how hostile they become and how much they attempt to portray themselves as victims when you try to intervene or address their behavior, it becomes clear. Story 24. Acting like a poor communicator when they simply do not feel like responding. My Wi-Fi may be bad, but your communication skills are even worse. Story 25. We tend to be treated better overall. The biggest advantage is the ability to flirt with women without it feeling awkward. When unattractive men approach attractive women, I empathize with them for not receiving attention. In contrast, I can initiate a conversation and, if there is mutual interest, potentially connect with a partner. Story 26. Getting praised for doing things that would be considered awkward if an unattractive person did them. Cosplay is the main example that comes to mind. Story 27. Being dull is something I can say from experience. I dated a beautiful man from the Philippines, and the most interesting aspect of him was his mother's cooking. I still think about her sometimes. She was a lovely lady. Story 28. Skipping the line at nightclubs, receiving faster service at a bar, and being offered jobs for their appearance rather than their skills. Story 29. Mistakes that ordinary people would receive a snide remark or scolding for. People tend to have a lot of patience for conventionally attractive individuals. Story 30. I am not sure if this is getting away with something, but every very attractive person I have known has had absolutely zero personality. Are they decent people? Usually, yes. However, they tend to be dull, boring, unfunny, and uninteresting. My theory is that if you go through life in a world where you receive attention, friendships, opportunities, and respect just because of your attractiveness, you may never develop a personality. The rest of us instinctively develop personalities at a young age because it makes us more interesting, people enjoy being around us, and we come across as funny, intelligent, thoughtful, or interesting in various ways. Very attractive people often do not face these challenges and are therefore less likely to develop a unique personality. This is just my personal observation. I have also met plenty of awesome and interesting people who are very attractive, so who knows? Story 31. As someone who has lost weight and started dressing better, I can get away with being quiet. I used to be the funny friend who kept people's attention, but now I can remain silent in large groups and still be noticed. Story 32. You think it's the attractive people who have a problem, but the truth is that it's the observer who skews reality. A person, simply by being attractive, does not open doors through the power of their mind. Door attendants do open doors. Attractive people may get away with negative actions because observers allow them to. Thus, every criticism here is more about the critic than about attractive people. Story 33. When I was in my 20s, I worked out regularly, dressed well, and considered myself a metrosexual. I can't believe the things I got away with back then. It feels strange to be older and invisible to girls who would have been vying for my attention 10 years ago. Story 34. I have gotten away with speeding tickets more often than I deserve for how fast I was going. I have also received discounts at the strangest, most unexpected places. I am a man and I do not think I am attractive at all. However, I have had no trouble dating, so maybe I am not as unattractive as I believe. I am not really fond of how I look. Story 35. Sexual harassment. Many attractive people evade consequences for sexual harassment and crossing boundaries, particularly if the person they are targeting is considered unattractive. I encountered a girl who gave me unsettling vibes because she had previously gotten in trouble for joking and peeking into someone's stall in middle school. She claimed it wasn't sexual harassment because she didn't physically touch anyone and stated that she wouldn't touch her ugly self, then proceeded to discuss the other girl's anatomy. Story 36. Being unsettling to others can be perceived differently. Society often categorizes behavior based on appearance, suggesting that if someone is unattractive, their actions are seen as creepy, while attractive individuals may be considered flirty. In my view, if someone's behavior is creepy, it is simply creepy regardless of appearance. Story 37. I worked with a friend named Rose who was a psychologist. She was stunning not only in her facial features but also had a figure like Salma Hayek at her peak. She couldn't hide it. One time, I told her that her beauty was distracting to male patients, and she said I was projecting, but I don't think so. I believe I was correct. Story 38. I work with a very attractive girl at the bar I work for who is an absolute sweetheart. She is kind, fun to work with, and I genuinely enjoy her as a person. She works hard and gets along with everyone. She is truly a gem. It took no effort for me to convince her that Africa is both a country and a continent. Story 39. An attractive guy staring at you is super cute and adorable. An unattractive guy can come off as a creep and may have inappropriate thoughts. Story 40. I used to work at a technology company, and there was a Greek man who resembled the images of Jesus often depicted in churches. However, for some reason, he made inappropriate comments to female coworkers right to their faces. Wow, you look so appealing. I've heard girls from Romania are appealing, very sweet and appealing. I like when women cook. They look very appetizing. He had been working there for 5 years and hadn't received so much as a warning. Sometimes it still doesn't feel real when I think about it. It felt like the entire lab turned a blind eye because of his appearance. Story 41. The bubble effect. The bubble effect occurs when people treat you as if you are brilliant, charming, interesting, or competent, even when you are not. As the person internalizes this treatment, they live in a bubble that does not reflect reality. Story 42. They get away with being in trouble. For example, in court, they receive lighter sentences, and the judge is lenient with them. Similarly, the same occurs with traffic violations. I have noticed that some people want to be in your life more than usual. They are overly kind and try to be exceptionally helpful if you have any problems or need assistance. They go out of their way to talk to you and interact with you in various ways. If you ask for something or request help, they will drop whatever they are doing to assist you. Scientifically, this behavior is normal, and people are biologically attracted to and drawn to be around attractive individuals. This applies to both women and men. Even other women will make an effort to become your friend. Story 43. Everything. If you are good-looking and kind, people often bend the rules for you. It was a nice luxury to be attractive. Now I am just a tired mom, but I still find that people are especially nice and considerate toward me when I am pregnant or have a baby with me. Story 44. I was loud, obnoxious, and unusual a few years ago. If I hadn't had decent looks, someone might have harmed me by now. Story 45. I am unsure if this is getting away with something, but every extremely attractive person I have ever known has absolutely no personality. Are they decent people? Usually, yes. However, they are often dull, boring, unfunny, and uninteresting. My theory is that if you go through life in a world where you receive attention, friendships, opportunities, and respect simply because you are attractive, you never have to develop a personality. The rest of us instinctively develop personalities at a young age because it makes us more interesting. People enjoy being around us, find us funny, and perceive us as intelligent, thoughtful, or interesting. Very attractive individuals do not face these barriers and are therefore less likely to cultivate a personality that is unique to them. Story 46. Being disrespectful to others and not taking responsibility for their actions because they achieve their goals due to their appearance. Story 47. Women can sometimes feel unvalued, perceived as dead weight in social situations. They may engage in casual conversation whenever they choose. Men, on the other hand, can draw attention easily, even when discussing something as mundane as an ingrown toenail, often prompting smiles and further inquiries from others. Story 48. Literally anything, even murder and rape. How did I get downvoted for this? I could provide many examples of attractive individuals engaging in absolutely deplorable behavior, and everyone offers excuses. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.